How does a person decide to turn toward a simpler way of living? What are the driving forces behind this change? And how does this connect with money and the need for freedom and happiness? We discussed this and much more today with Minimal Victoria in a conversation that spanned for more than half an hour. To simplify navigating, I divided the video in chapters based on questions. I gotta thank Victoria for having me as a guest, and I definitely have a lot to learn from her. I really have to thank you for taking the time for doing that on Saturday evening. I can imagine that you would prefer, like, I don't know, drinking something somewhere with someone else, but
no, really.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So I know that you are a freelancing video maker and also a minimalist. So why don't you talk to me a little bit more about your story and how you decided to turn your life toward minimalism and having a simple life?
Well, I cannot boast a story when I was a full-on consumerist and then I changed my life completely into minimalism. Mm-hmm. I can say that I have always been a saver type of person, but there was time in my life when I lived with two hoarders who were my parents, and when I was moving out to live with my husband, then it turns out I don't need that much. When you move out, you have a chance to build the life that you want. And when I moved out, first I had the same mentality as my parents did. I also had a lot of stuff, and I moved with a lot of stuff in my new apartment, but then I realized that, recently my mom took care of all of that, but now I have to take care of all of that, and I don't want to spend an hour a day cleaning stuff. I don't want to maintain so many things that I don't even use on a daily basis. I realized that I wanted to live a simpler life to free up my time, my space, my mentality for something that I like more. And this is how I started to see some videos on YouTube about this, and I got really into it. I started decluttering, and I decluttered a lot, and now I think I'm in a happy place in terms of my belongings. I don't even stress out that much about managing my home. It is so simpler now.
What do you think is the first thing that you started decluttering compared to the example that you had so far from your parents when you moved out?
Yeah, got it. I think it was not only about some certain things, specific things that my parents liked. It was like a mentality. If I see it, I want it, I buy it. And it was not only about stuff that we already have. It was about stuff that we went out and saw and decided to buy immediately. So it was that intentionality part that I also acquired. But in terms of what exactly I started my journey from in terms of decluttering, it's probably things that are multiples. I don't need 4 blankets. I need 1 blanket. I don't need 3 coffee tables. I need 1. I don't need 5 chairs. I need 2 and maybe 1 more before when guests come over. So it turns out there's not that much that we need. If something is not used for a year, for me it's a no. I declutter it.
That makes sense. And how do you share this with your husband?
When we started dating and we got married, I was not a minimalist yet. So basically I changed, and he was like, oh, so you're now this way. We've got to deal with it. And he did not like it from the start, but then I realized that he also needed help. He also sometimes had a closet full of things that he doesn't use, and he wants to declutter, but he doesn't know where to start. And this is probably when I realized that, okay, so there are people who struggle with this. Maybe for me it was a little bit more simple because I already watched a few dozens of YouTube videos, and now I kind of know how to do that. But yeah, he didn't like it at the start. I was throwing things away, and he was like, where's that 300-year-old shirt? And I'm like, it's old, it looks bad, you don't wear it. So I just threw it away. I'm sorry, I didn't throw his things, but maybe our common things and things that are mine, but he also uses, so I don't, of course, declutter his stuff without asking him. Don't do that, please, to your loved
Yeah,
ones.
don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't
But
try this at home.
Yeah, but he was noticing that things are changing in our home. There are a lot more free space. There are things that are missing, but they're not that important. The key to like living with a non-minimalist is to leave them space. Like at the end of the day, every person has the right to live as they want. And yeah, it was like confusing at the start, but now we figured it out, and he even asks me for help in decluttering.
One thing that I personally do not like is that recently this thing of being a minimalist became kind of a trend. What do you think? Because there are some people that are critical. I do not believe into this like so much, because I think that it's too much something like a personal choice, because everyone has a different definition of that. But it's a little bit of a buzzword. Actually, I do not have written minimalism in my channel. I prefer to define myself as a person that tries to live simple. But what is your opinion on that?
We can define our things our ways and call ourselves the way we want. I think it did become a trend. Why was it so easily picked up? Because there are people like you and me who are tired of all that clutter, who are tired of all unintentional spending, who are tired of consumerism and things that they don't know what to do with after they bought them. So it made sense that it was a trend at some point. I don't think that it's as much of a trend now. But in my opinion, if you are a minimalist once, you are a minimalist forever. Maybe I don't declutter much now. I don't think about minimalism now. I don't intentionally apply certain minimalism pieces of advice into my life. But this mindset of being intentional with my stuff and not bringing like shit to my apartment, it's always with me right now.
When you understand the benefit of that, you do not get back so much. I don't think it's very hard. Maybe you're gonna have some weak point in some moments. You're gonna you're gonna desire something that you don't really need, and you're gonna buy it anyway. But this does not make you, I think, less of a person that is intentional with this stuff. I mean, until this is not the norm for you, it's just an exception. And what is your experience in that? Like, have you ever? How often do you happen to want something that you do not really need? And have you ever been tempted to make a step back from how you live?
Sometimes I imagine, what if I had like unlimited money? Would I be a minimalist still? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. Because there are things that I want and can't afford. Like we all have some. And I imagine myself having a lot of money. Would I buy a mansion if I just wanted it? Maybe yes, because I really want it. But another part of me, the other part of me thinks, okay, so if I can buy everything I want, I will buy this and that and that and that shirt and that coat and that technical equipment and that and this. And like I imagine myself being so surrounded by stuff that I start feeling uncomfortable only imagining it. I need to try having unlimited options. And yeah, that's true that sometimes I want something that I cannot afford. Yeah, I do step back and I do sometimes want to buy everything I want. And I do sometimes feel like, oh, I would be so happier with that camera. But then time passes on and I feel like I get a lot more happiness and a lot more joy from just having a pizza night and not a camera, maybe. So quite controversial for me still.
Yeah, I think it's a journey for everyone. I'll tell you what, I'm almost 30 and I think that 25 was a tough year for me, because you realize that you're not gonna be 20 forever. That is the first half of the 20s are passed and you realize you're not gonna be 20 forever. Now you are on the other side. And I have the impression going toward 30 that after this trauma of being 25, you're gonna realize at 30 that you're gonna die. Literally, that a good chunk of your life is already gone. and the other half supposedly you should have a decent health. And for the other, like let's say that the other half is another 30 years, so you're up until 60. But after 60, your health starts really to deteriorate, and so you're really limited in what you're gonna do. And I think that what I'm realizing now is that you're gonna give much more value to time. Really, much more value to time compared to money. You think you're gonna be 20 forever, but no, it's gonna stop sometime.
That is so true.
Yeah, that is sad, that is true, and that is something you gotta live with. And you're gonna optimize for that, in my opinion. And that is not something that everyone is gonna be able to do. Maybe some people are gonna also use stuff to distract themselves from the reality of their time being sucked off their life every day, a second at a time. Talking about a lot of people, what do you think is something that a lot of people can live without, but they don't?
I'll answer this question more philosophically, if you don't mind. I think a lot of people can get rid of impulse buying. A lot of people can get rid of seeing something and immediately giving money for this. And this just one thing can be life-changing. It can change your home, it can change your habits, it can change your relationships, it can change so many parts of your lives. Like you said in one of the videos about all the things that minimalism affects, and if you're not living an intentional lifestyle, there are so many things that you lose, like mental health. You get more stressed, you get more anxious, right? And like one thing that could change this all is just being more intentional and living without impulses.
I think I satisfied a lot of my impulses when I was not more than a kid. So I immediately realized that this was not giving me any joy, and there were a lot of other things that were lacking into my life. So it's very interesting to consider this under a light of philosophy. Is it any philosopher that you like particularly?
I'd say this
Confucius is.
the stoicism. What?
So Marcus Aurelius, for example.
Yeah, maybe I don't know exactly the names, but this whole stream and this whole idea really appeals to me. And can you imagine there were people who figured it all out thousands of years before Christ even, and we are still trying to figure that out, and we come to the same conclusions as people who lived thousands and thousands of years ago. That's fun to realize. So we're all
we're lucky. Like we are lucky if we're able to reach the same conclusion. Stoicism, to integrate that in your life, it is very tough. It is very, very tough. But I think it's also very rewarding, being able to understand that life is gonna happen, bad things are gonna happen, and you're gonna be okay with that. And if you can reach a point like that, I like a lot. For example, a poem by Rudyard Kipling that is called simply "If," and is a long, not so long poem about what it means to be. At the end of the day, it says you're gonna be a man if you're able to do all these things, and I really like the part in which you're gonna have to be able to bet everything you have, everything you've done, on pick and toss. That is the throw of a coin. And even when you lose, if you lose everything you have, you're gonna shut up. You're not gonna say anything about that, and you're gonna restart working from there, like from scratch. Build and lose and accept that life is gonna be some victories, but mainly a lot of unsuccesses.
True.
And be able to be okay with that and not say a word about that. And even when things are gonna be good, do not brag, and when things are not gonna be so good, do not despair. That is very hard to do, but it's definitely the kind of mindset that you want to have in your life. I think it's very admirable from my point of view. How did minimalism help you to be closer to your definition of happiness?
I don't know what happiness is. Like, maybe it's when you just have a good mood. Maybe it's when you have a bad mood but still have this sense of fulfillment. Maybe it's things that, studies show us that we need, like a family relationships. Maybe this is happiness. I'd say that minimalism definitely brought me some peace, and peace, I'd say, is a part of happiness. Some peace about my belongings, about my mindset. It's really brings me joy. I can't say that it makes me happy overall, but it definitely brings me joy. And having a place that I like to live in, having the time for myself because I don't spend time managing stuff and going shopping, is something that gives me this sense of peace. I don't know, is it the same for you?
My definition of happiness is probably being free, like having options to be and to live and to do what I want. That encompasses also where I live, who I'm dealing with in terms of people, and the job that I'm doing. I think that these are all fantastic things and are all pretty much immaterial things. So in my case, decluttering, having a simpler life and not be a victim of mindless spending helped me to be closer to this, not only to create a peace, but also helped me understanding that it was more about the experiences that I was living and the condition in which I was living, but not where I was living, like in terms of housing. When I discuss where, I was more related to nations, visiting places and something like that. It's not so much about the money that you make. It's not just about that, but it is also about the money that you are able to manage. Because and to manage money, you gotta cut off everything that is not necessary, and you can do that with a simpler lifestyle, I think. So it helps you reaches your goal because it clear off everything that is not necessary, and this was my experience of this. What is your point in which you thought that you downsized it enough? Like, what is the point in your life in which you think maybe doing more than this is gonna be unhealthy?
I know that moment. This is the moment when you stop being a minimalist, when you stop intentionally calling yourself as such, when you stop thinking about it, when you stop even watching videos about what to declutter and about some minimalist advice. This was my moment when I simply started to move on, to live my life just with that mindset in my head, and that setting around me that I already had. I've downsized enough when I felt like I didn't need to even think about my stuff, think about my apartment, think about cleaning, think about minimalism, watching videos on decluttering. Now I just can live my life with this sense of peace all the time. Like, there's no such time when I lose this sense of peace because of my stuff, because I already developed this lifestyle.
You really look happy, really. Also in your voice there is tranquility, serenity that probably a lot of people do not have.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe some people don't have something in terms of belongings that I have, but I can say that I'm unhappy simply as much time as other people, if just about other stuff. We all have things that we are upset about, right? So for some people, it's managing their homes. For some people, it's problems with kids. For you, it may be problems at work. For me, it may be problems with my clients that I work with. So we all have things that we are upset about. And even if I'm generally can say that I am, a fulfilled person, I'd say, but I'm unhappy as much time as everybody else, but not about my home. So this is something that I did for myself, and it made a lot of difference. So yeah, I just didn't want, anybody to think that, all these people on the internet are happy, so, and I'm not, so there's something wrong with me. Not true. Everybody's unhappy a certain amount of their lives, right?
There are gonna be some days in which it's gonna suck. I think that overall the definition of happiness is gonna be like the journey. So being able, every day is gonna, not all the days you're gonna be happy. Probably the majority of the days you're not gonna be happy. Like, I think that in everything you're gonna do in life, your success rate is gonna be 1%. And so it's gonna mean that you gotta fail like 99 times before making it for once. So it's gonna suck for the most of the time. But all the struggle, if it is driving you toward what you want, that's the definition of happiness, because you can give a sense to your struggle. And in terms of your work, since you are a freelancer, how it is your relationship with money? What do you think overall about money?
Yeah, I totally want to make a lot of money, but not for stuff. And I was thinking about it, and it's even not about experiences. I would say that my thing that I need money for is the security, this sense of safety. My problem is the fear of diseases, the fear of poverty. I'm really so upset when I think about my retirement, because what if I won't be able to have any money during retirement? And the retirement payments, what are these called? I'm not sure. The pensions here in Ukraine are so small that I'm simply afraid of being poor and sick. So for me, money is more about solving this particular problem. I think I want to be, I want to develop my freelance. It would be cool to have a lot of security in my life, to at least have money for chemo if I get cancer one day. So it's just stuff like that. That's what I want my money for. What do you want your money for?
Because I've been in positions in my life in which I was forced to do things that I didn't want to do, like in terms of work. Being in cities I did and dealing with people I didn't want to deal with. And that was very frustrating. And the idea of not having anything inside in front of me besides that kind of life, that was hell. That was really, really hell for me. I don't think I've never been so closer to losing my mind out of this. Money is about having options for me. Like, I do not want a home. Like, really, I do not want a home. I would prefer to live renting from a place to another, because it gives you more optionality to move. So it's about having money to have optionality, to live the life that you want. It's about creating the options that I never had, and creating the experiences that I had to renounce to. So I worked my way to exiting from this prison in which I was when I was 19 and 20. And now it's about, and then I worked a lot also to create an alternative. And now it's about working to create options and to create the life I want.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you like to say to the subscriber where they can find you?
Yeah, I have a channel, but you may not want to come to me for a long time because I already don't film for that channel. But it's alright, there's still a lot of content there, so you can come to see some things what I do about minimalism, also frugal living and decluttering. That's what I think I kind of specialize in. So you can come and see some of my videos. Thank you.
Yeah, it will be great. So especially if everyone is interested into hiring a freelancing video maker, they can take a look at what you did.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Okay, perfect, Victoria. Really thank you for having me, and have a nice Saturday evening for what is left of this.
Thank you.